Welcome back, everyone. We're live for another episode of Growing with My Fellow Growers. This is Jack Greenstock. I'm joined, as always, by an awesome panel. I'm going to pass it first over to Matthew Gates, who's covering as host this week. And then I'm going to jump out and let the rest of the crew take over. And I'll see you all next week. Have a great one.
Have a good one, Jack. Drive safe, man.
Thank you very much. Happy holidays, everybody. Peace out.
Yeah. Happy holidays, Jack. Have a good one.
Yeah, so if you're first joining us, if it's your first time, but I see there are definitely people who have been here before already in the comments. My name is Matthew Gates. I'm an integrated pest management specialist, and I'm joined by a bevy of people of various abilities and capacities and interests in things in the cannabis space. And I'm going to jump it up to Spartan Grown. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. I'm Spartan Grown, and I'm an organic and synthetic farmer here in the great state of Michigan. So if you have any gardening questions when it comes to organic or synthetic cannabis cultivation, shoot me a DM on Instagram at Spartan Grown, all one word, or you can shoot me an email at spartangrown@gmail.com, and I will do my best to help you out. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and that's not idle true. Spartan has helped me and many other people in the industry, and also lots of home growers, as the name implies. And I've really enjoyed that we can do this in this medium for over 2 years now.
It's been quite a while, man. I don't know.
Quite a while now.
It might be,
yeah.
For sure. It might even be over 3. I'm not sure.
Yeah, at this
coming up on 3. I'm pretty sure we're coming up on 3 in like February.
I think you're right, which is actually a great opportunity to introduce Dr. MJ Coco.
Oh, hey, that's me. Yes, I'm Dr. MJ Coco from CocoForCannabis.com. I'm happy to be back. Wishing everybody a Merry Christmas. Everybody had a good holiday. And I think we're a little bit short-staffed today. And I saw in the message, yes, Jack did have to bounce. I think he's on the road. So Matthew Gates is stepping in as our capable host, and it should be an interesting show. I want to remind everybody about the New Year's Grow Challenge, which starts in less than a week now. We're dropping seeds on January 1st, and everybody is invited to grow along with us. There'll be a lot of great prizes. Sign up at cocoforcannabis.com/challenge.
Yeah, and I've definitely taken a look at the Dr. MJ forum, and if you haven't, you really should, because there's a lot of cool information there, and a really great community that's growing and growing. Growers love, after all. Tao, how are you? That was
all good,
a draw.
Yeah, it took me a second to hit that mute button. It's good to see everybody. Hope you all had a great holiday. I'm the American One on the YouTubes, and the American One _with_Keens on the IG. And it's good to be here. I got just snuck in at the nick of time, and I hope everybody's well.
I certainly am. I appreciate that. Noah the Grower, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Merry Christmas to everybody listening and everybody on the panel. I'm Noah the Grower from Instagram. You can find me there. I have been growing cannabis for over 11 years and done it in a bunch of different capacities and continue to do it, enjoy it, and happy to be here.
Very cool, very cool. Well, we just had Christmas literally yesterday, and other holidays, recently. So did anyone get anything cool cannabis related?
I 100% did. I know it's going to be small, but to me, it's fucking badass. A flick wick. So there's a chamber in here that you can keep a spool of hemp wick. And then
Clever.
Then you've got a little roller on the side to increase or reduce the hemp wick. And you light it with your lighter. If I can get the damn lighter to light. And then you got your hemp wick. And then when you want to put it out, you just roll it back down and it extinguishes. It's pretty fucking nifty. I love it.
That is pretty cool. I like that.
I like that too. I have a Zippo that I usually use because I'm pretentious, and I just wrap some wick around it. But yours is a much more elegant design.
I also have a Zippo for if it's windy out.
There you go. Anyone else? I didn't. Or actually, I guess you could say that I did. The person who follows me, Leviathan Seeds, they sent me some some stuff to try out, and I'm actually about to try some. I rolled a couple of joints, and I'll be interested to see how it goes. I had some slurricane. Let's see, what was it here? Yeah, I know. I knew that. I haven't had this yet, so I'll be finding out soon. I only have a small amount from each one. Also some Glue Lotto from James Loud, I believe. That was I don't. Oh, have you? I'm not sure how other people have enjoyed it, but I took a bit of a smell, and it was very gassy to me. I don't know if other people have had that experience, but I like.
I haven't tried it. I haven't had it myself, but I've heard of it, but I haven't been able to try it yet. And
then from Ethos, some orange kush cake, and the other one on Kush Mints, the rabbit hippie cut. So I'll be looking forward to those soon. So I really enjoyed and some really nice glassware. Actually, they included 2 hand blown glasses, kind of like whiskey glasses, sort of, in a very nice aquamarine color. So that was very nice to receive.
You reminded me when you were going through that I also got gifts. This is probably top one in the top 2 or 3 of my gifts. A little jar full of Trin-Tray hash. Oh, I've been smoking through this all weekend long. I love it.
We have Brandon coming in, actually, so I'll let him introduce himself. I think he's still connecting with the audio. Brandon, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I want to give us an introduction.
Sure. What's going on, guys? I'm Brandon Rust. You can find me on IG, rust.brandon. You can find a link to my company, Bokashi Earthworks, and I'm starting a new grow project, and maybe I'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know. For those who aren't aware, you should check him out on Instagram, because Brandon has been talking some really interesting biochemistry. Certainly not my forte. So I've been enjoying the videos lately. So if you want to check out some of his cool projects, you should definitely head on over to his IG.
Sometimes I'm trying to speak and not like fluidly, and my thoughts come in my head so quick. Sometimes when I go and rewatch a video, sometimes I realize that I've misspoken something.
Oh, the Viroid video that I made recently that I'm still proud of, it's kind of like that for me, where I'm trying to explain a concept and I'm trying to be simple, and I don't understand it perfectly myself, like in all the details, like a genomicist might, or a virologist. But I'm like going back over it sometimes, like I better clarify that statement in the edit. So I totally hear you there. But
yeah, I know that feeling. I know that feeling well.
Yeah, because I'll be talking about like calcium. I remember on one of them I was talking about calcium, but I was writing out on the board potassium.
Oops.
I was like, wait a minute.
I feel sorry for you. Well, I always speak perfectly.
I know, right? You speak as you mean to, and that's the best gift of all. So did you get anything for the holidays that is cannabis related, Brandon? I asked the other folks.
No. Yes. No.
No. So. Not even just a bunch of hash, or?
No, I mean, I already have like a bunch of hash. I have like a box of hash in my fridge.
That's true. What do you get the guy who has everything with regards to that?
I literally have stuff that's been sitting for, probably a year at least.
Oh man.
And I have weed that I'll eventually get to, maybe. I don't know.
That's a good problem to have. Strategic cannabis resources. 6 months to a year.
So I always have a couple of varieties that'll get smoked all the time, like that all go through and they'll be gone, but then I have other stuff that is just all right, and it's not my favorite, so it sits around a little bit longer.
I totally get you. Were there any other things people wanted to share? I just wanted to open that up for everyone.
As a cannabis grower, I don't really usually get cannabis related stuff, but I usually give it. So I gave out a lot of gifts. You know what I'm saying? That's typically what I do, to a lot of my stoner buddies and stuff around Christmas and close circle. I give stuff away. So, but yeah, they know not to give me anything. It's the same thing. Like I don't need any. So
that totally makes sense. And I was seeing a lot of that lately around the holidays. So it was very nice. We got Kyle Rieder coming in soon.
I do that. I give my mom a bunch of butter, and then my mom makes baked goods and gives all her friends. Well, not all of her friends, but her friends that enjoy those baked goods.
That is awesome. That is the coolest story you've ever told on the show, Dr. MJ. That's the coolest story. That is awesome.
It's because why? Because people don't expect.
They don't expect it. I will give you that.
Yes, I agree.
There's many factors on why that's the greatest story that's been told for a long time.
I love it.
So Kyle is here.
It feels good to share with those kinds of people too. I really enjoy getting a bunch of retired age women cookies for Christmas. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, light a little fire inside. make the winter a little bit less harsh.
Yeah, those harsh San Diego winters.
Yeah, exactly. Not so much here. So. But Kyle is here. I want to give him a chance to introduce himself. Kyle, how are you?
Hey, everybody. I'm doing well. Just getting over, sure, like we all have, just getting over the family thing.
Sure.
I met my my girlfriend's relatives for the first time, so that was interesting. Good people. But yeah, home safe now. Just kind of in the garden right now, tending to some things. Got some projects coming up that I'm trying to get ready for. But other than that, Kyle Rieder. I got a website if anybody's interested in feminized seeds. I do have a reg seed line that's dropping on the 31st of this month. Our first reg seed line, 10 a.m. Eastern time, and purebreeding.com if you're interested in anything or anything about that, and Pure Breeding on all social media platforms, pure_breeding on Instagram. And feel free to reach out if everybody has any questions, and I'm glad everyone's here safe, and hopefully everybody had a good holidays with their family and stuff.
Did you get anything cool?
I got some brand new Method 7 glasses because I've been kind of raw dogging it because I had a pair and then they got ruined, and I've been raw dogging it, and my eyesight it's just not the good thing. So it's not smart. So I got a new pair of those, so I was kind of excited about that. My girlfriend took me to the Boston Ballet, which was interesting. I don't know if that's a gift or something else. But
why do you say that?
I mean, it was interesting. Some people, it's not a bad thing at all. It's definitely like an art form, but it's like a merged. Somehow it was partially my present, but it's not.
Kyle, what you needed was one of Dr. MJ Coco's mom's cookies for that event.
Yeah,
exactly.
This is what we've learned.
I was going to say, I do understand how this gift is related to cannabis. I totally understand. You don't even need to mention that.
No, yes.
But other than that, things are good. Just you know how it is when you get older, man. You don't really get too much stuff. But I got some good work boots, a couple of knickknacks here and there. But overall, it was a good holiday.
I'm glad to hear it, honestly. And similarly, I guess I'll just share very, very shortly. I also, I already said something already, but I didn't get too many myself, and that's okay because I was much more interested in having a good time with the people close to me. So I definitely appreciate that. Anyone have any plans for the New Year's? Not only just New Year's as like a party, but also like moving forward. I know multiple people here have projects. We all have like irons in the fire. And I thought we would have maybe a smaller group of people, but in fact, we just don't have Jack. So, I want to make it a little bit more freeform because I talk too much. Does anyone have anything they really want to talk about?
Well, plans for New Year's. Everybody should have the New Year's Grow Challenge as their plan for New Year's.
There we go.
Just saying, just throwing that out there.
I was just going to say I'm going to try and keep better records of everything and not let my babies get root bound. That's as simple as I'm going to get. And that's my goal for the new year.
That's the root bound free resolution.
Yeah,
Good
root
one.
bound
I like
free
that.
and take like document more because I've learned that could that would benefit me. And yeah, plus I'm working on the chocolate. I'm growing out the chocolate and the chocolate, and I hope to find something that smells and tastes chocolatey. But I'm going to continue down that road the rest of the year if I don't.
Nice practical goals are always good instead of some lofty thing that nobody's ever going to approach in 100 years. I totally get that. You know, that'll probably do more good for you, just like something small like that, than something way more manageable. That's how I feel people always get with these sorts of New Year's resolutions. Anyone else have a project?
Now I feel like I should strive for more, Matthew.
I think so.
All right, I'm going back to the table. No, I'm joking.
So just take my approach, Tal, man. I just look at them as goals, and when you reach your goal, you just set a new goal.
There you go.
So yeah, man.
Yeah, it's never ending. It's not just because it's New Year's. Good point.
Yeah.
Spartans over here like goals. You know, it's easy. How to be successful? Just complete goal 1 and then do goal 2.
Goal 2.
And then do goal 3. I don't see how people have problems with this.
Well, the thing is, people give up. It's just don't stop giving up.
That's true.
But yeah, man, I want by the end of next year, I want to have found a male to breed into my bliss bud project, and then taken prodigy from that initial cross. I guess it would still kind of be an F1 at that point, and then find a male and a female combo to smash into each other, and then have those seeds ready to be worked with for the following year. That will make me happy. That's my goal to get that far. And I did the first step in that. I popped Russell. So that's my namesake, right? They got to be good weed there. So if I popped that yesterday on Christmas Day, I popped 2 of them. They're regular seeds, and it's a win-win for me. If I get a male, I can work that into the bliss. And if I get a bunch of females, I'll get to smoke them. And that's like a back cross chem crossed with like a back crossed Jack Herrera. So it should be or was it chem? Yeah, I think it's chem and Jack Herrera. So that should be a fucking great cross.
This is making me feel like a bad friend because I'm forgetting that you even mentioned the Bliss Project before. Have you?
I'm sure I do too many shows, to be honest, and my brain can't keep them all in check. So I may not have, but my Bliss Project is my overall goal is to have a lifelong strain project that the goal of the strain is for it to always have an uplifting high. That's why the namesake Bliss. And so if I find any kind of a strain that is very uplifting in the way that it, when I smoke the female version of it, I'll try to work that into the bliss bud to just continue to keep working that until I'm already actually happy with the high on it. But I want to change the flavor profile. It's not the greatest yet. It's good, but it's not the greatest. So I'm going to continue to work strains into it. Your classical sativa-esque type of a high, and by sativa-esque specifically the mood enhancing, anti-depression, giggly high, those kinds of attributes. I can do it with a little bit of the energetic, but I don't like a lot of that. I want it to be one that people can enjoy and not have like racing hearts. So that's my overall goal with it. If I can get one that tastes pretty good, then I'll be happy. My first step on that was I went real sour D heavy. I took sour diesel on one side, and then the other side was a pineapple Thai cross to a sour strawberry, which is a sour D cross. And so smash those two together to make the F1s. And that's where I'm at right now. I've grown through, I don't know how many, maybe only 5 or 6 of those, but I've selected the number 3 so far. So right now, that's my keeper cut of Bliss Bud is the number 3 on the initial cross. But I want to get another if you work 2 males into it, I figured then it's yours, right? So I wanted to get at least 1 more male worked into it to make it enough different from the original cross that I can actually claim that it's somehow mine, in my opinion, not anybody else's opinion. Fuck what everybody else thinks. That's my opinion, my standard. That's my standard. So, so then I can begin to say that at that point it's my work strain, and I'm going to continue working that one forever, I think.
What was that, Kyle?
I said that's far better than most.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I mean, I think having the outward sentiment in general is better than most in some cases, I think. So when you say
some people just do an S1 and they're like 100% all mine, started from the beginning.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I found this seed in some unknown bagweed, so it's obviously I take all the credit for that, right?
Yeah, that's even a step worse. You did nothing. You found a seed.
Some of the most, I feel like a lot of the really popular ones have a sort of a story kind of like that, and it's very it's very it's mystical that way. It's like, ooh, it's a very cool. It just happened to be very lucky, very fortunate. But yeah, I definitely respect working the line, and it's always interesting to get people's impressions about this. But when you say that you don't feel like the flavors are where it is for you, I'm curious, what do you mean by that?
So they are one of the things that is checks a box for me is if I roll it in a joint, that I can taste the flavor that it tasted at the beginning. I can taste it at the end of the joint. And I don't like it to lose its flavor throughout the joint. That's tough. Not a lot of strains will do that. Some will. And that's what I think is just one of those extra things, one of the unicorn traits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's got to have a strong enough terpene profile to last through and to taste like something through a whole joint.
That's an interesting metric. I've often thought about sort of the beginning of a joint versus the end of a joint, and why the roaches are much more powerful, burn slower, all of that. They end up with a lot of the resin sort of leached down into them. So I'm just kind of thinking about what it would be what sort of characteristics of a strain would allow it to continue sort of having that same flavor.
Just being very broad with it is, I think really I don't think it's so much, well, maybe it is, but I don't think it's so much a specific terpene, but I think it's a terpene percentage. So
I feel you're right.
So, I mean, it's going to have an abundance of terpenes rather than, 1% or lower.
Yeah. Because vaporizing those resins then as you get towards the bottom of the joint is still going to contribute a lot to the flavor. I mean, and to the effect. I mean, I like the roaches sort of the most out of the joint. But I'm going to pay attention to that now. I've really never thought much about the terpenes lasting through the whole joint before.
Yeah, I kind of like that as well. I feel as though I also am the same way. I like it when it gets down to the end, it gets resinous, and I like I like a little bit of the burn, I guess, from this might be really weird, but just having that the smoke, I just feel like that the resin kind of like touches your tongue,
coats it almost.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm getting corroboration. That's good.
Yes.
I didn't know how unique an experience that really was. But
yeah, it's when you get it down to like the roach clip time and you're really kind of like holding it, a few millimeters away from your lips and pulling through like really hot smoke. I think a lot of that is that you're feeling on your tongue is just the heat coming off of there because it doesn't have any distance to cool down from the combustion. But
that must be it.
Yeah, you're also vaporizing all of the resins that had sort of seeped down into that part of the joint, and you're getting like wicked high. I always remember that when and you start burning a joint, and like the first few puffs of the joint, you've burned through like half of the joint, and and then it starts getting more resonated and burns slower and just gets better. So I'm happy to be like last in the circle when it comes time to smoking the joint. I'd rather be first in the circle when it comes time for smoking a bowl or a bong.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 comments there. One, get you some tips, man. How are you smoking joints with no tips in it? Get some tips, so then you don't have to worry about roach clips. You can get
Yeah, I usually
all the way
just
to the-
roll up a piece of cardboard as a little,
a
space
crutch.
heater,
Okay,
like a
that
filter.
works. That'll work. I wouldn't pass on that then. But another thing is the dry hit. I think I don't see it as much. I've brought all the MVGS guys back on board with that. I've converted them, but that's one of my favorite things to do is if someone, especially if we're in a circle, that's like your classic smoke circle. If somebody hands me something new and says, "Hey, I want you to go ahead and you get the honor of lighting it up," I won't light it. I'll fucking dry hit that and pass it around so everyone can dry hit it. Because you can get that flavor, right? Yeah, I love that. So I'm a big proponent of that too. Do the dry hit it dry first, and it gives you like a preview of what you're about to smoke. It gives you something to kind of focus on, to look for in the smoke when you take it.
I've been in some pretty big circles, man, and I don't know if I would do that because I'd be worried somebody's gonna like this. I was not gonna get all the way back to me and get it. I'm gonna have the guy like the tease and never get the payoff. But yeah, I hear you.
Our circles never stop, so people just keep throwing them in, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but then it's gonna be something different, like you got that pull off of that joint. You're like, ooh, that tastes really good. I can hardly wait to smoke that. But
That's true. That's true. You gotta bring the king cones.
Yeah, I'm I'm a big loser, and I usually just get the cones. Yeah, but I do get them king size, and that's just so much easier. So I don't practice.
Got them too. No shame in it. I got them too.
There you go. There you go.
I just roll with bills.
I've got a rolling machine king size and 1.25 inch, both of them.
I started off on this tangent asking about if anyone had any other projects they want to talk about. Brandon, you mentioned something, but no pressure. But if anyone else does too, I'm open to it.
Yeah, I've got a couple things going on. I'm working right now to register all my fertilizers. I'm gonna see if I can get the CDFA certification, because if I get that in California, I'm pretty much good to go for the rest of the country. I just have to have somebody submit all the paperwork. So I'm working on finding. I'm actually working with Royal Gold. They're a soil company from Mendocino. He is basically helping me by hooking me up with the person who did all their registration stuff. So they already know all the hoops that have to be kind of jumped through and what needs to be done on that aspect. And it's just something that I gotta take care of that. Looking at Colombia, I met some guys that have an import-export company, and they import-export nutrients, and so they were interested in both the nutrients, but also they have registration. You can register different varietals down in Colombia, and they treat it more of an agricultural crop, so they have import-export as well. So there's a bunch of projects that are.
Is it a dry product, Brandon, or is it?
What's that?
Is this a dry product then?
What?
This fertilizers, are they going to be like water soluble but dry salts, or?
No, so the fertilizer that I have through Bokashi Earthworks, what it is a liquid, but what it is, they react the lignite with a catalyst and then attach all of the macro and micro molecules to the carboxylic acid, and then they bottle it up. So that's a liquid.
Oh, okay.
It has to be in the liquid to be able to like kind of do what it does.
Stabilize and shit.
Yeah, to just be stable. So that way it's stabilized in the soil system too, because it doesn't react with the soil system. That's the benefit. Everything that's in there is all bioavailable. It stays in a bioavailable form until it's utilized by either the biology in the soil or the plant. But there's a bunch of stuff also that I've been working. You guys probably already know that I've been working with Kerwaialua out in Hawaii. They're the largest patient-based farm probably in the world at this point, and they're they have the same cultivation style because I've been working with them for 14 or 15 months, and I do all the soil agronomy and help them build soil and all that stuff. And They're expanding really fast, and so I'll probably be working with those guys a little bit more as they expand. And then I have a new. I left Black Label. My partner and his family went back to San Diego, and I just didn't want to. I didn't want to keep operating with my partner. With the two brothers who are our partners. So I left that, free up some time. So I have a smaller place that was my girlfriend's brother's place, and he's, I think more focused on, his contracting work. And so it's just a one room flowering room with like 36 HLGs in there. And I'm just going to run that because it shouldn't take more than a couple hours a day when it's all up and running. And then just the times when you have to do like harvesting and stuff, it should be pretty easy. But I'm going to do it so I'm like harvesting every 10 days, one row. So it should be pretty easy for just myself to run that a couple hours a day, be able to spend time on Bokashi Earthworks and the other, and still do the consulting, because I work with quite a few people out here in Oklahoma too, doing their agronomy, soil science stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense then. Yeah. And I mean, there's definitely a lot of irons in the fire. It's hard, but you're definitely right about that with regards to getting certified in California. I've talked about it before, and for those who don't know, this is a little bit different, but like with regards to like pesticides even and other sorts of products, it's like companies will have entire divisions just totally devoted to California, and then normal operation for the rest of them. So I look forward to your success in that, but I do know it's an arduous. It's great that you're getting help.
I went and
For
saw
sure.
a lawyer. I was
There
like,
you go.
the lawyer was like, "Yeah, I don't know if my firm can handle this." I was like, usually these kinds of projects that you're talking about are handled by like large firms, because I have other projects too I'm working with as well, because part of like doing my consulting is, I can do all the from soil to all the way to harvest, right? I have that like easy, just doing the data analytics. And as long as they're able to maintain proper, environmental parameters, and then do the IPM that I put in place, it makes a streamlined, efficient process that always has the same exact quality. So I've been talking to Brandon from In-House Genetics about partnering up and doing a type of grow plan where people can, because here's what I found out. Most of the owner operators like that operate here in Oklahoma, for instance, that's what most of them are. The majority of the cannabis businesses are mom and pop. So a lot of those people don't want to have to be in the garden all day gardening and then try to go pound pavement to go sell weed, and like keep their networks open and the communication for with dispensaries. And it costs money to pay somebody to do that. Marketing, branding, sales, all of that is a really important part of cannabis if you're in the legal market. So being able to work with someone like In-House Genetics, where they have certain varieties that'll be like limited releases, doing something that was pheno hunted by one of the partners or something, and it goes to one farm, and they do I do all the soil science, integrated pest management, whole grow plan. Basically, they provide genetics, and then we co-partner up on marketing for the distribution end. So that way the farms can basically go get their genetics, know it's going to be sold at the end following these certain protocols. So that way it can eliminate some of the stress involved with having to go through middlemen or distribution and stuff like that, because this shit can be a nightmare for small farms.
And then you have the whole fucking big corporations trying to push pressure on you to make more regulations to make it fucking even more difficult for you to operate.
Yeah, and so one of the things is if we have this type of thing set up, one of the things that we were also talking about is doing how in-house already works with people out in Michigan, you know, to do information and to create a type of organization that can push back against people who are trying to take away people's rights and monopolize on the industry, you know. So
You know, I would encourage it. I mean, it's social media is free for everybody to use, but it's a powerful voice, and that helps organizations like that get word out almost instantly sometimes. And we already have that cannabis community in place. And so if you guys were to get something, you know, an organization that was, you know, ran by people that we know are one of us, I think it could be a real positive effort.
yeah, it's one of those things where we would want to have some like people in every state. And the same thing with the distribution part. If you look at it statistically, you can work with, you know, these types of shops that are owner operator. You have to work with huge like MSOs to be able to have a part of the top tier market, right? Not like the fucking blown out 100,000 square foot warehouses, because regardless of how well you can like automate, I don't think that without that personal touch that you can't really it's difficult, right? It's just difficult. The weed's different, you know. Um
Yeah, for sure.
so I just want it's just a
Well, it's
way
powerful to
to
have a breeder, especially of that caliber. You know what I mean? And that's got the respect and the pull that he has to work with a breeder like that. That's another powerful thing to have. And he's helped a ton in Michigan. Shout out to Brandon. And
yeah.
he's sponsoring shows like Medical Mondays, and you know what I mean, that they're getting the word out. They're constantly talking about the issues. So it's those are the kinds of people you should support. You know, that's
Yeah, and
what we
that's the
do.
thing too. It's better to work with the smaller companies. People don't understand when the majority of capital goes into one place. It's not beneficial for the economy as a whole or for the people as a whole. That's why Oklahoma, you know, really boomed, because it was easy access, easy entry. They made it so you had to be a resident for 2 years, so it helped a lot of the people here. But if you're thinking about, and I've said this a fucking 100 times, if you look at all the ancillary businesses that are associated with build outs, the grow stores, property, electricians, HVAC, everybody is making money because they can all participate in their own way, you know, in a new industry. And even though the industry is, you know, like people right now, you know, it's oversaturated is what people will say, but it's like it's not oversaturated with fucking dank. Yeah, it's just oversaturated with fucking mid-level weed, which
Right.
is
To
which is
us.
like
Yeah.
that's like, here's the thing, people don't understand that haven't been doing this, you know, for 20 plus years. The weed that we see today that come out of these super facilities is equivalent to like the Mexican brick weed that we were smoking back in the day, but it just looks prettier, bro.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
because
because
that
it's grown
shit used to
inside.
get me fucking ripped as fuck too. But it was cheap. You know, it didn't fucking look pretty, but then you knew when you had like good quality weed and you had to pay for it, right? But um it's you can still be cost effective too, and that's one of the reasons why it's the whole setup, like the whole scenario would work really well, because the way that I'm able to do the cultivation side is more cost effective because you're reusing all of your inputs over and over. There's so much less waste using you know, bulk soil amendments. So, and it streamlines it streamlines the process when you can just go in, plant, not have to worry about, you know, tearing, you know, getting rid of all your media and all that
What's
other
your
stuff.
what's your microbial threshold that you have to pass down there? Because that's what scares a lot of people up here out of
Like 10,000,
organic
10,000, I think.
CFUs. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's what that is here too, microbial on medical.
Yeah.
And even that plating system is trash and
Oh my
not even
God.
representative.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
We had a
it's-
lab here lobby our government and change the system. We went from the fuck what is it? PLCR or something like that.
PCR?
PCR maybe.
RT-PCR maybe?
I don't know. I don't know what it was, but we were going
Anyways.
from where they were looking at the DNA to where they're
Yeah.
looking at plates now. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, in a world where most microbes aren't even culturable, and a lot of times we write research reports about them, you know, which are sometimes even, you know, if they're good, they're not totally on inference about some of the capabilities. But if they're, you know, if they're preliminary, we don't even know. Like CFUs only account for a tiny fraction of microbes, and yeah, going after the genes would be the more logical step, I think. But also, it's expensive though, so.
Well, that's why I mean, obviously, that's why the lab would, you know, lobby for that kind of shit. They don't have to have an expensive machine. All they have to have is some fucking plates in the incubation chamber.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you're, oh crap, what was I just gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say because I'm stoned.
Sometimes it's better that way.
Does that have anything to do with microbials and organics? That's kind of the general theme that we were on.
You know, it shouldn't be an issue if you are, you know, doing everything properly. I mean, just because you have soil, you can have just as much microbial activity in like a cocoa system too. I mean, I've seen cocoa where it was coated in mycelium, and I've seen rock wool that was fucking coated in algae, and I've seen it grow mushrooms, you know. So just because you think a system is cleaner than something else, it really depends. It's really all about like your pest management protocols that you have in place, what type of microbials you're using for inoculants, because I use a probiotic inoculant, you know what I mean? It's got the bacillus, the pseudomonas, and the Saccharomyces in there, and I also use the bacillus subtilis and the trichoderma. So
I love that combo right there. But
dude, that's a fucking winner, and it's great because it helps keep iron in its
right. And it has shown sign. I've seen white papers that even shows PM resistance with that combo specifically in the soil.
Yeah. So it's all about just building up things. There's bacteria and microbes everywhere. People,
I understand that, but this is like, I do a little bit of consulting on the side for some of these facilities, and that's the pushback I get is like, they're going to run salts with fucking some kind of a cleanser, like, you know, like a periodic acid or something.
Some sort of,
they're going to run completely, because they don't want to have, they want the smallest chance of microbes possible. I'm like, well, that's not really the mindset you want. And they're like, no, we're getting tested on it. And that's exactly the mindset we want. And that's kind of the pushback.
Are we talking about the flower? Because your soil isn't going to get tested for microbials to pass.
But they're saying
that. But I mean, that doesn't matter because sometimes things happen and stuff on the bottom gets onto the top.
Right.
I know, but I just don't, you know, it's not as big of an issue, I think, as people.
Well, you and I know that, but lawmakers don't know that, and they make rules that penalize you for shit like a yeast.
Yeah, they're gonna like nuke you for the smallest offense.
Well, this is another issue that affects at scale. So what you might be able to do in a very clean and sanitized way in a smaller grow, if you set that up for these mass produced facilities, is going to be some contamination. So from their mindset, they'd rather just remove any possible chance of that, even if it has, other negatives.
How are farms, passing in greenhouses or outdoor? I mean, there's no.
I can tell you how the big ones are.
Contaminants.
How are the big ones?
The big ones are doing it by just getting fucking UV and fucking sterilizing that shit before they get it tested.
I heard that. I think we talked about it before, but microwave sterilization is also a thing that's used in other agricultural products as well, like nuts in particular, because you might get a little larva or two in a pistachio or something, and navel orangeworm moth is aggressive. So sometimes that's what they do. And, and they'll have like machines that like take the weight or maybe some other sort of factor, and they're able to like select them out. But I think even with cannabis, they're using that as a sterilant, which is interesting.
There's all kinds of different remediation services that you can take your shitty weed, and you can take your mids and make it even more midsy.
And they're all
Turn your
super
mids into lows.
expensive. Yeah, they're all super expensive. So I imagine the most often, if you see them, they're going to be in the biggest places you find.
Brandon said something earlier that I wanted to touch on. Man, the part about weed being good, and it's kind of surprising to me that the market has gone the way it is, because he's 100% right. That's in those dispensaries, there's a lot of mid-grade stuff, and I mean a ton of it. But the thing about it is that people need to vote with their dollars. Like, why is someone like me, or even higher level guys like Brandon, why are they even going to take the time to do all this stuff when people are like, oh, I'm $150 an ounce? I hear this all the time, and I'm like, dude, what do you think these guys are going to? You think growers are going to grow weed for $50 an ounce? You buy a $50 ounce, you're going to get a $50 ounce. Okay, you get what you pay for. So I just find it surprising that people always, they bitch because they don't have good weed, but they don't want to pay the money. The growers are not going to keep doing this for free. And people need to realize that.
I understand
who my market is. Look, my market isn't like fucking Island Boys or the fucking 20-year-old college kid who's on a budget. The people that are usually buying my product are, probably 28 to, and up, people who have some disposable income, and they like to have, quality.
Who has disposable income in 2021? That's 29. I'm asking for a friend.
It's the same as like in the liquor market or anything else. I mean, most people buy and drink cheap stuff, regardless of the fact that everybody is aware that there are better quality options at a higher price point. And really, it comes down to a matter of socioeconomic class more than a lot of the other features in terms of which of those products that you're both able to access and, interested in spending your money on.
If we have to vote with our dollar, then we're already screwed up. Because the fact of the matter is that's not how marketing works.
I'm not saying it's expensive. I'm just saying you're not going to get an ounce for $50.
That's what I'm saying too. You're just not. You're not going to get good weed grown. You're not going to get indoor, high-end weed for that price. You're just not, because guys are going to figure out a way to push it out the door. Guys are going to figure out a way to push it out the door for, way cheaper, and they're just going to cut corners. I mean, this is basic, but hey, I digress.
Well, they're also going to stop selecting for quality and just selecting for quantity. Also, that's
100%.
Well, I mean, like, what's basic is, you go to another country that has a different purchasing power, right, with their money, and they can make stuff that's high quality, but because of global economics, which I'm not an expert in, but I do know that you can get high quality stuff. That's why the ornamentals went to South America and Africa, right? Because, and also not only, and it's not just because of labor costs, but that's a massive part of it. And then what happens is that they're most of it, right? Yeah. And then they get talented people either from other places or who are already there. And also they have the machinery and technical capability that's ramping up. And so there's a real good likelihood that, I think, if cannabis becomes more globally accepted, that we will get not mids for a pretty low price at other places. But see, the thing is that when you all say it's not mids or it's not high quality, that's so ephemeral to so many people. And Spartan, you've said this multiple times in the past, that, because we're in it, because we're in this stuff in a deep way, we have a lot of like opinions about this sort of a thing that other people lack, especially newer people. So you could say it's an education thing too.
Well, that's the challenge with any premium product like that. If you want to charge a premium price for a premium product, you depend on an educated consumer base that's able to differentiate quality and willing to pay for it. And in a lot of industries, they invest a lot of money both to educate their consumer base so that they understand the quality and are able to sort of recognize quality, and that they're willing to spend more money in order to have that quality. The cannabis market in that regard is sort of ridiculously undeveloped and immature as a market in terms of consumer knowledge and ways to differentiate for the typical consumer between different categories of cannabis. Price is always going to be a primary driving factor in most people's economic purchase decisions, regardless of the product category. So there's always going to be a market for sort of cheaper, mass-produced, more affordable cannabis. But I definitely think that there is a quality difference. And I think that if you want to create a niche out of sort of targeting a higher quality, then that does come along with sort of expectations for consumer education and needing to differentiate your product so that it commands a higher price.
Yeah, and I mean, as long as we're talking about education, it should probably be brought up that, like a lot of products, there are people who are being trained to view certain things as quality that maybe isn't, or is really just propaganda at the end of the day, right? And so that happens too. And I feel like because it's such a ephemeral concept, people can get away with saying that, like, XYZ certificate program or service or whatever, will give you the skills to be the person who will know what is good and what's not. And I don't know, I feel like a lot of times it's kind of moot. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I know that there's like for instance, the Ganjier program. They had like a whole entire like group of cannabis people kind of developed a curriculum for the testing, and they look at like 8 different aspects, flavor, aroma, smell, trichome coverage, appearance, like high. And then they go through these whole categorized lists, and every single one gets a score. And then you have like some like however many different scores for each category, and then they add up the total. And that average, the total average of everything makes up the total score. And so you can kind of have a good idea of what that actual quality of that cannabis would be.
And see, I push back against that.
It's pretty good.
I push back against that so hard. It feels so alien to me. It's like, for me, I'm going to, I guess, preface this with, in my experience, but me trying to help people with cannabis as medicine, I found out really early on that what affects one person one way will affect another person differently. So for me, my approach always was just try the damn thing. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what it smells like. You know what I mean? Fucking try it. See how it works for you. Let everybody's opinions go out the window, and just your opinion is the only one that matters. And so even, that's why I would struggle even going into a dispensary to find something I would like, because I mean, they don't have the information I want. Let me talk to a grower. What I mean? Give me the information. Like, how was it grown? I'd rather have that information than, a lot of the information that's provided to me. So I think the most important thing for I know as scientists and as humans, we like to categorize every little thing and put it in a neat little box, but this is so beyond our comprehension still that I think that's the wrong approach. I think it's not the same for everybody. So to try to put it into a category like it's the same because of this profile or whatever, it's like, man, to me, I don't see that. I think it's the better approach would be like, hey, I have such a disease, XYZ disease, and when I smoked this particular cultivar, it helped with that disease. That's the information I think is the most valuable right now for us. But I mean, that's just my opinion. Because then we could like, if we had like 5 cultivars that we knew were the most popular ones that we used for, we'll say, arthritis, then we could take and do profiles on those and compare, okay, what do these have in common? And then we could say, okay, well, obviously, if we can find something with this chemical makeup, we might have something here. We can make this, just pump up this suite of cannabinoids and terpenes so we can specifically target a disease. And I think that's kind of the approach we should be looking more than, I don't know,
Spartan. Beard like a wizard, but you don't appreciate the magic. You're just trying to quantify it all. No, I think you're totally right, actually. Like it's that gets a little technical. I'm not saying that people should have to spend 100,000 on all of this testing requirement, although people are certainly doing this for IPM in some cases, and also what was I going to say? Something more articulate than that. But there are lots of things, probably labor, but lots of things people have to pay a lot for. I feel like with regards to, somebody in the comments, Buddy Kilowatt was talking about how everyone who's connoisseur level, however you want to define that, everyone thinks the connoisseurs think that everyone thinks that they do a lot of times when you're in this, when you're in the weeds. And I think that's I want to echo that. I guess I was saying that already, so I'm just saying the same thing twice, but it's just kind of true. We do get into it. And if people find a value to it, I know I'm talking to people who make their money this way. So, we're all a little bit biased, including myself, but there's definitely a consumer demand for good enough for the price to do the thing that I want it to do. Right. And I think that's how most people kind of meet it. And some people aren't going to make cannabis their whole life. And we got to accept that, just like most people aren't going to learn bugs and why I'm probably always going to have a job, kind of a thing, somewhat. I don't know. That wasn't very articulate. But
that's a really interesting point. I mean, there's connoisseurs of lots of different things. I mean, we were thinking about coffee. I've been thinking about wine. You could think about other kind of products like even olive oil or something like that, right? And there's always connoisseurs that are able to understand quality, that are able to really understand what you're getting in the different quality grades of these items, and basically look down their noses at everybody that doesn't understand that and opts for the economic choices instead. If you think about those other areas in which you are not a connoisseur, because most of us probably are connoisseurs of cannabis, and we're going to be looking down our noses at the people that are sort of opting for the cheaper mass-produced cannabis options. But what olive oil do you choose, and what bottle of wine do you buy, or what coffee do you get, and what are you willing to pay for that? These are all things I think that have similar potential. Yeah, have similar potential grading differences. And I think it's fine that, mid-quality or lower quality cannabis is acceptable for the masses. That actually is what we would expect to happen as this market matures. There's still going to be plenty of room for craft producers, just like there is in beer or wine or olive oil or any of these other things. And the best quality products always come out of them. But I think it's never going to be the case that sort of all consumers are preferring the top quality products.
And what we call mids
obvious.
now,
That's what I'm saying. That's obvious. But what I'm saying is, look, 20 years ago, I mean, I've been involved in weed my entire life, since 10th grade. All right. And I'm not talking just like a little bit here. All right. I've been doing this my entire life. When we were growing up, when I was in high school, if you could even find a good bag of weed, it was $40 for 3 grams. Now people go into a store and they want to spend $50 an ounce. Every other thing in the history of time, gallon of gas is $3.30. Now I get it. There's people out there that don't want to spend money, but yeah, I stand by what I said. And
I follow you to a point on that.
Listen, hold on. If people want to buy an ounce for $50, that is totally fine with me. I have no problem with it. Buy whatever you want to buy. I get that. But what I'm saying is that's what people are going to produce. If that's what you want, there will, just like you said, there'll always be people that sell, microbrew and high-end whiskey and everything. You ever see a Lamborghini commercial? No, because they sell themselves to the people that want them. So, right. Yeah, I get it. I get that. But I'm just saying, there is a line. You know, you're not going to get, you can't expect to get an ounce of weed from Brandon for 40 or 50 bucks. You know,
not in this market, but to be honest, all of those prices that we're familiar with are so sort of artificially inflated by the legal regime. Comparing this to any kind of other agricultural commodity that didn't face similar prohibition forces, the prices of cannabis are astronomical across the board. So if we, in a hypothetical world, removed sort of that legal regime, and I think it's not a fair comparison to refer to like black market weed in the 80s or 90s or whatever, to like a fully mature legal market, because the prices are so jacked up for the legal risk factor in that, or the prices are so jacked up because of the tax scheme or other, licensing restrictions or other things in the legal regimes. The $50 for an ounce of anything would have to be like damn hard to actually grow from just an agricultural perspective, production perspective. The prices are still sort of through the roof in terms of for cannabis currently.
The sword of Damocles hangs heavy above my head, and I must let Kyle outro out. Kyle.
Yes. My opinion on all that is I feel both of you guys, and I love hearing you guys talk, man. I still love doing this. I do gotta leave it a little early. I got a bunch of stuff I got to take care of. But yeah, if anyone's looking forward to, I won't say looking forward to, if anyone's interested in the drop I have coming up, it's our first reg seed drop, which is traditional seeds, male and female. That's the 31st at 10 a.m. Eastern time. I have a website, purebreeding.com. If you're interested in finding some seeds, I do have that as well. And if anyone has questions or concerns or want to chat, feel free to reach out on Instagram. But you just can't talk about, so a lot of people have been reaching out about like business questions. And unfortunately, if I don't answer you, or it seems like I'm giving you a weird response, because Instagram does monitor that stuff. Because I actually said something about, I used the word dollars or money, and it wasn't even like about like real business. And Instagram like sent me a message about it. So just try, anything about cannabis related, I'm cool with. If it's like money, you're gonna have to email me. Pure breeding, the letter M, the letter A at gmail.com. But other than that, I'm glad we're all safe and still doing our thing. And I'll see you guys on Sunday next week.
I appreciate
So,
it.
Kyle.
And as one door closes, another opens. We actually have Steve Reisner, Potent Ponics. Hello,
Steve.
Hey, how's it going?
I was just out in Tecumseh today looking at property out there because I'm trying to find my own piece of land to also build a homestead
Nice.
and grow weed, of course.
better tornado proof it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been out here 2 years and I haven't seen a tornado yet, but
Yeah, I wouldn't know either.
I'm starting to think the Oklahoma tornado is like the California earthquake.
No, well, so the first year I came out here, the first 2 weeks I was out here, they had 14 tornado warnings, and I saw 4 good funnel clouds. So it'll happen. It just, it doesn't happen all the time. Same thing with the ice. We'll get some real good ice storms out here too that are pretty gnarly.
The last year in October, that was fucking crazy, dude. The trees hadn't even started, the leaves hadn't even fall in the middle of October, sub-zero temperatures with rain. And so it created all of the fucking everything. All the plants were coated in like an inch thick ring of ice. And so everything broke. All the limbs broke because of all the weight of the frozen water on the trees.
Power lines.
It was fucking madness. It was crazy. It was the craziest thing you'd ever seen.
We get those almost every year in Michigan. Those fucking ice storms, and that's when the power goes out. Usually.
I don't know why they don't bury those fucking things.
Okay, the reason I've been told was because then they would have a hard time getting to work in them. I'm like, put them in a fucking tunnel, man.
You know what makes them really hard to work on? Them being destroyed every year. Actually, one of my favorite words.
It's really just a matter of cost. It's better to bury your utilities, but it's just more expensive. And so until it becomes so much more expensive to have to constantly repair them and having outages, that you want to bury them. But a lot of cities around the country are trying to bury more of their utility lines.
One of my favorite words is actually rime in English, which is rime, and that's like that ice that coats, like when like a fog comes in and it gets sub temperatures, and it just like the air freezes and like into this like glassy encasement, which I very rarely get to experience. I think that's just so cool.
It is absolutely beautiful.
Right.
Everything turns like white and like, I don't know, like when you get light shining through ice, it's that like bright white, like shiny. I don't know.
Shiny.
And speaking of which, Brennan and I will be getting together with Jordan River from Growcast on the 21st, somewhere in Oklahoma City. I think we're still figuring out the location, so that'll be fun too.
They should just do it at the farmers market, that brick building downtown.
Yeah, I'll have to connect with you offline to finalize where we're gonna do it at. But yeah, that'd be sweet.
I know a couple places.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to that. Always fun to get together, especially after the last year and all the craziness. It's fun to get together with the community again and do some live events.
Yeah, I've had fun. I've gone to quite a few. Cowboy Cup, went out to Emerald Cup. It was fun. Lots of fun.
You describe an Emerald Cup as fun?
You're not being harassed by the People's Republic of California.
So it has its downfalls, but it's the only place and time where you can see Green Bodie and Mean Gene and freaking everybody James Bean and Sungrown Mids, Masonic, everybody was there, bro. It's like all the people that I interact with like on social media, it's just a time to be able to, you can interact with them, show face.
Yeah, hopefully what happened there doesn't change the vibe too much, although according to some people I've talked to, they say that the days of long past are long gone. We probably won't see that resurgence.
Well, one of the things that you will see though is you'll see the people who have been in this throwing events, like they did that like the Ego Clash, right? You'll see other states like Oklahoma, for instance. Oklahoma, we had the Cowboy Cup, and the Cowboy Cup is like the old days of the Emerald Cup, where people are just giving out dabs at the booths, and people are sharing and kind of showing their work off, and there's no one walking around fucking telling anybody that they can't consume or they can't share with others,
or that they're not allowed to have it, which was particularly ironic, deliciously, terribly ironic. I hope that they get the appropriate response, which is that people, react to this and give them a hard time for, not even knowing their own laws. That is like supremely, like, if you want to have people lose credibility in your authority, that's the way to do it, right? Like maybe that's like right before, like intentionally not, well, maybe it was intentional. I don't want to say one way or the other, but I think it was literally a case of people thinking they had power they didn't and because some people knew it.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. If it was one person, but it wasn't just one person, it was literally a group of well-known cultivators and people that are in the cannabis community, so it wasn't like an isolated incident, because they had their bags. It was everybody else's tricks, and I talked to plenty of people that are like, oh, they fucking took my seed packs. I was like, I would have fucking told those dudes to fuck off.
You did.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it was also really nerve-wracking for my lady, because she's, she saw me get like pulled out of the car not so long ago, and then so having to deal with law enforcement in any capacity is like very it's kind of traumatizing.
Definitely. Well, and you never know. And like if it happened to certain people in certain other contexts, like it does happen every day of every year, right. The United States of America, that could have gone a lot worse.
Well, think about it.
For everyone involved.
If you look up there, definitely. They were carrying bags that had shit in it. So they'd gotten some people.
Yeah,
They
how
got
are they?
shit from some people.
How are they
bro. That's the
reporting?
whole
How are they
thing.
reporting that they didn't do that? Like we said earlier last time, it's
It
just
was the weirdest thing too, because like the stuff that they had, it wasn't like they had like they were confiscating illicit material. They literally had like single fucking doob tubes and freaking single seed packs and shit. Like what the like these dudes are literally just walking around trying to rip people off. Like I'm gonna like you can't share those seeds that you made at home. Give me those. Like what the fuck? It's crazy.
truly crazy.
The green jackets.
The green jackets.
Well,
The green
brown
shirts.
I
The green
think all
shirts.
of the media covered it pretty well, I think, and hopefully the blowback because they had that ridiculous comment afterward press conference. But I think at least they'll know to not act like complete thugs next time. I mean, the blowback was enough, I think, at least. Even though I'm not condoning anything they did, I think they were completely in the wrong. But at least hopefully now, because of the community's response, and can you imagine if this was like an alcohol event and not a cannabis event, how that would have went down? That situation right there.
Yeah, right. Everybody, let's say the situation was everybody was drinking and not smoking, and then a bunch of
Yeah.
mobbed up. We're taking all of your guys' beers. The fuck you are, and everybody gets the courage too. So it would just turn into a whole mess.
Yeah, hostage situations notwithstanding, one of the things I appreciate about former President Carter was signing the home brewing, allowing people to home brew at home. I think you wouldn't. Well, currently we're expecting that from our president now about cannabis legalization for multiple years, but
I'm pretty sure that dude's not there.
Oh, Biden's not going to do it.
no, it doesn't
Dude,
seem that way.
I'm not sure. Like all the video that I've seen of that guy, he's so incoherent. It's
Dude,
shocking.
He's
It's
senile.
shocking. And the worst part of it is this. There can't be any presidential debate. There cannot be any type of open debate when somebody doesn't have the capacity to communicate, right? And that
No,
I
it's
think is
just
the
a
whole reason
puppet,
why
man.
he is the president, is because it eliminates the
Exactly.
Let's not
capacity
drift
for
off into
anybody to
politics,
have
guys.
any type of conversation
Yeah.
at any
Brandon?
intellectual level.
I probably shouldn't have mentioned Jimmy
Yeah,
Carter.
let's not get into a political tirade, please.
At least I don't want this show going down, or you know how litigious some of these entities are. I probably don't have to remind anyone, but yeah,
Let's go back and rust.
that's right, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I do feel like it's kind of dire, and I don't think that it is a little bit depressing. But are there other events that I mean, it was a good point that Brandon made up. Not only just in Oklahoma, but does anyone know any cool like replacements that people go to in California? Maybe even some private ones that Spartan mentioned.
Regen conference is coming up. The science.
Oh,
Regen.
of course.
Yeah.
That's going to be a really good one. I'll be at all 4 of those. That'll be a lot of fun.
Those are in multiple places, right? There's Humboldt.
Also, Michigan.
Humboldt last weekend of January, Michigan last weekend of February, or is it Maine this last weekend of February? Yeah, no, Maine's in March. So yeah, February is Michigan last weekend in Michigan, and then April is Oklahoma. So that'll be a lot of fun.
I'm speaking at the one in Oklahoma, not at the other ones.
Yeah, it's by far my favorite conference. You'll learn more at that conference than you did at like the last 5 years of most other conferences. Especially
So many conferences are just not worth it, in my experience. Except for the networking, but yeah.
They have a big seed swap on Sunday and stuff like that. So, bring stuff to share, and you'll end up having a good day.
There's also Champs, in Vegas. That's a huge show that a lot of companies end up going to.
Is there something unique you like about it?
No, I've never been there. I'm just saying that's another like big trade show that's cannabis and cannabis industry related.
I know Wendy Kornberg has her conference in February up in Massachusetts, I think it is. That would be another one that I would recommend people checking out. It's the Organic Cannabis something conference. I don't remember the name of it. I apologize, Wendy, but that's another one if people are looking for good resources from good, people that know what they're doing.
One of the things to get back to the regenerative conference, the one that I thought was cool was that's on the second day, I believe, when the panel all comes together all at once and has like the round robin or whatever it is. That's the fucking best one. It's like this show, but you're sitting there watching.
Is it the Organic Cultivators Supernatural Conference?
Supernatural? That sounds awesome already.
Apparently, it's going to be out of this world.
Wonderful.
I'm seeing, I'm seeing Wendy Kornberg. Yeah, interdimensional. There we go. Organic Cultivator Supernatural Conference, 3 days of regenerative cannabis and farming education and story. February 11th. For those interested, I am not endorsed by this group, but that's interesting.
Very
interesting name.
Yes, it instantly wants me. I'm already wanting to know more.
That's how you're supposed to title things, not esoterically, but a way that people actually care about. I've learned that. I've learned that one the hard way. Still haven't learned it totally, actually.
The other thing I would say too is like, look, if you're especially in a newer market, find a grocery store. Like I was able to find when I was down in Durant before I moved up to Oklahoma City. We just found a hookah place that allowed us to meet once a month, and I just ran a little cannabis grow club, and we just had a grow club for the local breeders to get together and talk about their different problems and stuff like that. And sometimes that can be a great way to find out about local insects, local diseases, local challenges that people face, and just a great way to kind of get some cool local genetics as well. And there's a lot of different smaller groups if you look around online that meet here and there. And I think people often don't, think about that. I know there used to be a really cool one in Denver in one of the warehouses. There was a nutrient company. I don't even think they're around anymore, but they used to have a part of their warehouse, and they'd have a meeting once a month and have soda and stuff and, snacks and all. People would bring, it was like a potluck, and people would just kind of talk about whatever they wanted to talk about. And could give a little presentation if they wanted to. It was really kind of a cool experience. So definitely encourage people to try and do that. You can even meet at libraries and other things. Lots of different places have open spaces that you can do that kind of stuff. So definitely encourage people to, build their own community if they don't have a really solid one locally. You can be the guy that starts the thing,
It's fucking the best idea ever, man. And that's kind of what we did with here in Michigan with the Michigan Bros Grow Show. We just Sequence and then Skillbo, they got together, and I think they brought Abolished in, and everybody just jumped in, and we're all like-minded. We don't agree on everything, but it's still like the cool thing is we're tied together locally. Like within a couple hours of each other, we're all pretty close, except for Dan and Terry, who are way the fuck up north. But it's cool to have a little community to rely on, or to trade back and forth with, or to go in together. Well, one cool thing is we get orders of predator bugs on the cheap. It's pretty goddamn cheap because we all go together and order enough that like what we would order at a big facility or something, you order in the same amount, you get a nice break. And just things like that. Yeah, things like that. It's super cool. And we just happen to throw a camera up and do a show every fucking week too to hang out. But it's fucking, it works, and I would encourage everybody to do that shit. It's fucking awesome.
Also can be a great way to get people like their first set of seeds. I know like pretty much every single meeting when I was doing it down in Durant was people, hey, I don't have seeds, but I'm wanting to start to grow because XYZ reason. And it's always a great way to just get some people just the first thing they needed to get into, the passion that we're all so into every week, and I don't know, sometimes just being able to start that spark is just really fun too.
We're just having a new grower and listening to them come and talk about that every week and what they're doing. And you hear that, like the beginner's passion. And it fucking lights a fire in your own ass. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it is fucking awesome to grow. I don't know if I'll ever stop.
Yeah, it is.
It's part of the magic, just to be able to grow this shit, to be honest.
Yeah, and having that close community feeling is something that I've talked about on like the Future Cannabis Project and stuff too. Or when we talk about community, that's I don't mean to sound like there isn't one, but people have different ones, and I think that it's sort of a mistake sometimes to assume that different groups have the exact same parameters and feelings about certain things. But when you're able to like create a group where all of you are kindred in that way, it's a really great feeling, very unique. I really feel like I get that close with that many people when it comes to like things like high-minded stuff about how I think things should be grown, and whether we're even in a particular situation where we can do that, So I totally have to agree with that, Spartan. Are your buddies up in the fingertips of Michigan?
Yeah, actually, Dan and Tara are probably a drive, and they'd be at the northern shores of the southern peninsula of Michigan. Yes, so I'd say they were definitely. But Tara, I just saw her a few days ago. She stopped by to say so. I mean, she is crazy. She's drive. She's still her man has a house in Ohio, I believe. So he's still in the process of selling that. So they're going back and forth anyway. And I guess I'm kind of the midway point. So they stopped and visited for a little while. It was awesome to see them. But that's what I mean. It's just like, it's like a family. It's like an extended family to have, like-minded people, like you're saying. I don't know. It's like a superpower, honestly. It doesn't matter what kind of whatever befalls you. There's always seems like always there's someone there to catch you. So I mean,
they say that
Someone come up with bail.
Someone can come up with bail, exactly. Or at least,
Yeah.
or at the very least, they can fucking come water your plants for you.
Exactly.
That's where,
Exactly.
that's where they become family when they bail you out.
That's for sure. Yeah, we really need that resilience. We need to be like a mycelial network, right? If I wanted to be.
Oh, for sure. And just another thing is like news and information, like that it's so important. Like, for example, a new product comes out, you can put into a chat and instantly get feedback. Yeah, I've tried that. This is what I had. This is my experience with it. That's invaluable for somebody when you could go broke buying products for cannabis. I mean, for sure. And you can go the opposite end of the spectrum too. So it's nice to get people's perspectives without having to go out there and buy every single fucking thing out there and trying it out. Because believe me, I want to. I definitely want to. I just want to see what it does, but I can't afford to. So it's nice to be able to have that aspect of it too. It's like, and then pheno hunting. Oh, if I have something that I know somebody else like, I'm getting ready to pop it. I'm like, hey, you want to pop half a pack, or you want to split this? Or I've given out whole packs to people and just say, bring me back your keeper. You know what I mean? That's fucking awesome to be able to just run through packs quickly like that if you need to.
Yeah, what's crazy is I saw somebody that had posted one of the TK NO5 haze times lime 1. And he's like, yeah, dude, this one is just completely different from all the other ones. And the profile that he described sounded amazing. It's like, being able to, and
then get that back, be able to reciprocate that love back and get a fucking cutting or something of that fucking pheno. It's fucking amazing. It's fucking great to be able to work together. That's how the little guy competes with the big guys right there. That kind of stuff.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, you can't directly compete with such a larger like entity. You either have to play a different game, or you got to get big too. And between those two pathways, I feel like a lot of people, the former is probably better in a lot of cases. At the very least for your sanity. And easiest particularly for that reason.
And the easiest way to do that too is just to have good connections. And I find the easiest way to have good connections is be a good fucking human being and just get out there to these events and start, saying hi to people.
That's not been my experience. My experience is that if you're a total ass to a lot of people and you chase a lot of clout and you make a lot of memes,
What happens
You can
then?
you can get pretty successful. You know what? I'm
Then
not
you,
sure.
then you become a breeder.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Stop buying Instagram followers.
Exactly. That's right. And everyone knows that that's how we know who is the real deal. Because that is definitely not a proxy and can't be altered at all or anything like that. There's no nope, no.
Like
I'm
a
sure
bluff.
that
Well, there's no secret sauce to it, man. That's all it is. Just be a good fucking human and it comes back around.
That's really solid advice right there, and I totally agree.
It's
Keep together
so
strong.
your net worth can only be as good as your network.
unless you're CEO.
Or
But
born
even
under
if
the
you're
son of the
CEO, you
CEO.
still need to know.
You need
There
the
you go.
network to get there.
That's true. That's true. Unless you're
Yeah,
Bobby
social
Kotick of
capital.
Blizzard.
Social capital is important in almost every endeavor, having the right relationships and being able to get the right information from the right people and all of that.
You know, speaking of community, you brought up a really good point there, Doctor, because, you know, they say that the reason why humans are so good with our syntax and grammar and speaking in our language, you know, I'm being very oversimple here, but like compared to like chimpanzees, I think I've talked about it before, like they've got these amazingly fast reaction times to certain things and like recognition.
Yeah.
Supposedly we're so good at it, and I think you have special insight onto this. But it's because we're social creatures, right? I don't, you know, I've heard that.
Well, yeah, I mean, chimpanzees are also social creatures, but their
Right,
ability
exactly.
their ability to communicate is not at the same level as human beings. They don't have the same language abilities. It's really what's interesting there has been the efforts to teach chimpanzees and bonobos language. Either sign language or, well, different kinds of sign language. And they're able to get chimpanzees up to about like a 2 or 3 year old level where they max out. They can't do the same kinds of symbolic thought. They don't seem to have the ability to sort of represent ideas and objects with abstract concepts of words the way that we do. And then to be able to put all of that together, those are pretty interesting and unique sort of human abilities. The higher levels of language, the syntax and, you know, even sort of a lot of the semantics and what things mean in different ways.
The fact that we can even split hairs at all, you know, the fact that there are hairs to split, maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the fact that human language is like productive, we could make new novel sentences that have never been said before. Like, you know, I want to eat lunch with a dolphin underwater or something. I don't know, whatever. You can make up a
That
sentence.
surely has been said before.
That probably has. So like on top of a mountain. Whatever it is, you don't have to have heard that sentence to be able to make perfect sense out of it. Each individual part has its own meaning that can be combined and recombined in infinite different ways to express infinite different thoughts and communicate infinite different sort of possibilities. That productivity of human language is really unique.
Yeah, and I guess like to bring it back to our point, I feel like that's really interesting, and I think it's a critical thing to remember when it comes to things like talking about community and our feelings about it and that sort of a thing, and what we want to do and accomplish socially.
Yeah, it is our number one skill. That ability
Exactly.
to communicate is human sort of special skill. It's what makes us unique as humans compared to like any other animal in the world, and it's absolutely because we depend on community in order to survive. We depend on a network around us in order to do pretty much anything. In almost any situation, a human depends on others to get everything that they need to survive in a way that most other organisms really don't. Most other organisms are more sort of generalists and they do everything for themselves. Almost no human does that. And that's how we specialize. That's how we've been able to sort of create our own unique niche It's all through collaboration. It's all through being able to work together, to be able to communicate your goals to other people, and to be able to share those goals, to be able to internalize other people's goals as your own. We're far less self-interested in a sort of the narrow sense than most other animals are. It's sort of ironic that people always think about how self-interested humans are when we're really the animal that has the capacity to empathize and to work together with other people and to really honestly care about the people that we're working with, whether or not it benefits us.
As the indomitable Hideo Kojima once said in a tweet, the theme of one of his games is the idea of gene to meme to scene, and I forget the other 2 or 3 or whatever, but like there's this like movement between, you know, like a physiological substrate that becomes what we know is like you're saying, like social cues and communication signals. In fact, when we talk about ecology, when I'm talking about the semantics of parasite versus mutualist and how sometimes these can actually change to be from a bad to a good or a good to a bad, like a lot of that, all of it basically is mediated through one way or another what we would call like signaling, communication, ecology. And I've definitely said that multiple times already, but I love that point because it brings together, I mean, growing up, I was told things like this, like, you know, very Saturday school special sort of way of like, you know, working together is like the baseline of like humanity, and like communicating with everyone, like that's how you do things. It's really true. It's really true. It's very true. And I think it was easy to kind of gloss it and like not take it seriously, I think. And I think I'm rediscovering the importance of that when I see how everything else does it too.
Yeah, the way we collaborate is what makes humans humans. It's what makes us unique. And it is our super skill, our special skill. And we turn away from it at our own peril. I mean, as we always come across this, you know, it's better when we work together. It's better when we share information. It's better when you have friends to help you. And it just is. That's how humans are designed to work.
Anyone making any cool communications right now? I know I've been bogarting the conversation a bit. Bad host, I know.
I actually have to jump out a little early because today on the Michigan Bros Grow Show, we're debuting a new software that I haven't downloaded anything for. So I want to jump in like I kind of my habit is and be like, all right, guys, what do I got to do? Like half hour before the show's supposed to start and see if I can figure this out.
Look at that. That's the exact teamwork we're talking about.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, I'll just say thanks guys for the show. Happy holidays. I mean, I'm surprised how many people are able to show up today. So this was fucking amazing to have nearly an entire panel. And shout out to fucking Steve. It's always a pleasure to see you, dude. And happy holidays, everybody in chat. And I didn't think, oh, fuck the MCMA. See you guys in like a half hour, man.
Later, man.
Or love, Spartan.
Merry Christmas.
Well then, does anyone else have any cool, unique communications they want to make? Something that's burning their passion? No. 6 seconds is probably long enough. Yeah. So I mean, I really like that. I have to echo that statement from Spartan. I'm glad that so many people. Doctor, you even said that you weren't going to necessarily be on for the whole time too. So
yeah, I got family over. You know, it's the holidays. I like being here. I like chatting with the community.
Obviously,
I hear your stories. So I kind of ditched them, and I was thinking that, you know, if the show didn't go well, I'd probably bail early. But it's been interesting enough. So I'm sticking around at this point. They'll have to wait for me. I think they're probably listening, so they're probably getting a big kick out of it. I think they got a big kick earlier about the butter and the cookies too. So
oh, that's good.
yeah.
Me as well.
Fun. It's fun. I'm getting a new toy soon. I can tell everybody about. I'm getting a dab press, so I'm pretty excited about that. It's waiting for me right now. I have to go pick it up. I already played around with it a little bit. The CEO of Microbial actually came over to my house a couple weeks ago wanted to demonstrate this dab press. He was traveling around. He went to the Emerald Cup and a few other things in California. And so we played with it, and then he had to take it with him to go up to the conferences. But he left it for me, so I could go pick it up in Los Angeles. That's pretty cool. A 10-ton dab press that, yeah, I mean, like I feel like that's my big Christmas present.
That's rad. Those are a lot of fun. You can make some awesome concentrates or some live flower rosin, whatever floats your boat. Bowl toppers, dabs.
Yeah, we pressed some like, I don't know, 18-month-old flower that I had in a jar just as sort of a demonstration run when he was here. And produced a lot of really good rosin. I mean, I was sort of impressed, and the little sort of like hockey puck size piece of basically paper at the end of it. But that was enough that I've been, dabbing a little bit with that, and now I got to get my go get it and pick it up and start really using it. My plants that I've been growing in the PTGC just about ready to come down too, so I'll have some fresher flower to work with.
I actually don't know this, but like, what's the typical like yield for like rosin? I guess it really depends on the product, right? That you're using.
We were getting about 25% by weight. So
that's off of a flower rosin.
That's, yeah, it was flower, and they were good flowers, really dry too. So like I said, 18 months. I mean, they were kept at about 60% humidity, but it had been a while. And they yielded about like 25%.
I heard somebody else was going to say something. Did you guys have a similar?
Yeah. Okay, so for like high quality rosin that's usually washed from live material or fresh frozen material, people won't usually wash varieties that do less than 4%. And then that's after they wash the hash.
4% what? Just
4% total return, right?
Okay.
Like in a jar. So if they take let's say 1,000 grams of material and they end up with 40 grams out of that material at the very end, after it's been washed, after they freeze dry the heads and then press the heads, that's like decent return. Holy Grail numbers are like 6.5%, 7% return at the end.
How wet is that, or how dry is that going in though, Brandon?
That's a good question.
Okay, so it has zero moisture when it gets pressed. It has no moisture because it's been freeze dried. So what they do is they'll whip up some ice hash with the fresh material.
Right.
And they'll collect those heads. They'll freeze dry it for however long it needs to be freeze dried for. And then they'll press that. So the press off of that material should be 4% of the total volume that went in. So between 40 to 60 grams for every, I think, 1,000. Yeah. No. I think my math is wrong.
I'm getting a little bit lost. I'm gonna have to do some more testing with it, and be really careful with sort of the weights. It's kind of tough because the rosin squeezes out. You got to tear the scale back, and you're dealing with fairly small amounts. So rounding can make a big difference in some of those measurements. I am curious to see what sort of the yield is from different sort of treatments going in. I don't have a freeze dried. I don't need one of those. Crap. It's always something else.
Yeah, it would be like 40 grams off of 1,000 grams of material. That would be 4%.
So, this is not meant to be super pedantic. It's just out of ignorance. But, you made a good question, when you talked about how much moisture there is. And you said there's zero, but obviously there's some level of water. So I'm just having a hard time understanding. I don't want to put anyone on a point. If anyone has a good answer to that, like, 'cause I
So
guess
what
that's
they're
No, they
doing is
freeze dry the resin.
Freeze drying
glands.
it.
Yeah.
We'll get
Oh,
your
right,
moisture
okay.
content down to pretty much zero.
I was missing that crucial bit of context. I see now. Okay.
Yeah, which is also going to reduce the dry weight going in, though. I'm trying to just sort of reconcile these numbers in my own
No,
head.
because Brandon's talking about when it's fresh frozen, it still have all the moisture in it.
Right.
So that's when they
and your total yield is from that fresh frozen. You're getting 4% at the final end. So I'm trying to figure out what the water weight was.
So your return weight off of like your hash material, it should be shit. It would be like 7. It'd probably be about double what your jarred weight would be. So you get about 50% of what you get of rosin from your hash. Does that make sense?
No, because it seems like that's too little.
Yeah.
Like if you have hash, really, you lose 50% when you press it in a rosin press.
I think the return from hash is higher than that. Yeah, I agree with you, ATG. Or sorry.
No worries.
MTG.
but maybe Brandon knows more than it can't be half lipids and waxes in the resin glands, or maybe it is.
Well, they're just filtering out, all of the additional stuff after they've collected those heads. If it's really high quality hash, they're pressing pretty much nothing but heads.
Right.
There shouldn't be any stalks in there.
Right, so that would be like a 90% return on a hash pressing, right?
I guess it depends on where.
I don't know what the numbers would be from like hash to rosin, but I'm pretty sure it's not a huge amount. It's not like you're getting 50% of what you're pressing from bubble hash or heads is going to be rosin,
I think it would be more than that, right? The weight of what wasn't hash or what wasn't the rosin would be very low. I mean, almost everything would squeeze out of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was getting confused because I was thinking of when you just press straight flour, and I guess it depends. Obviously, if you remove all of that, you concentrate it, and then you do the press, like that's going to be a totally different beast.
Yeah, and it depends what you're weighing from. What's the input weight and what's the output weight, and weight's really going to be the only way to be able to measure it. But this has me really interested. Now I'm going to try pressing a bunch of different varieties at different sort of stages and doing it with different treatments and seeing what the ratios you're able to really get are. And, the other factors that make a big difference is the amount of pressure that you apply and the sort of temperature that you're applying it with. So it'll be interesting to play around with.
So when people talk about hash plants, does anyone have any hash plants they really like, and what makes them particularly desirable? It's all those trichomes, right?
Yeah. It's like the really frosty plants. Does anybody grow plants and harvest it primarily for hash? I don't actually think I know too many people or anybody off the top of my head that does that.
I know a few people, and it's always interesting to hear about.
So typically with the hash varietals, usually have more open flower structures and not quite those, tighter nugs. You don't really care if they're more open. It allows for more airflow and less chance of, pathogen issues. So those are, and then the higher trichome density. And then often, people also regularly pick the ones that get the trichomes on the leaves and the stems and stuff like that a little bit more than some of the other cultivars. Obviously, all cannabis does that, but some of them definitely express it a lot heavier on, across the whole top of the plant versus some of the others.
Yeah, exactly what he said. I don't do it specifically for hash, but I always like plants with a lot of resin on them. That doesn't hurt for smoking joints either. But the airiness is supposedly a really good trait for doing the wash, because the water can get in there and knock the resin glands off of those pieces. But if you use trim, to make bubble hash. I mean, I guess it's lower quality though, but it all comes off because it's all exposed to the water pretty much.
I wonder what the platonic ideal of like a hash plant would be. Like, what would be the quality? What would be your like perfect qualities for a hash plant?
Yeah, I think Potent Bonnie Smoke brought up a good point with the open calyx structure, the open flowers.
Right.
They kind of look like foxtails, but they're not really foxtails. But they expose a lot more surface area to be potentially harvested for trichomes.
I could have one of my hash maker friends come on next weekend.
I would also just point out, I don't mind smoking those plants either that have the open calyxes. I think that they're not maybe sometimes as pretty. And people often think that it's a problem, think that those are foxtails and that something bad happened to the bud. But if it's not, if that's just sort of the way that that plant grows, I have no problem smoking them. They can be wonderful.
I've hung out with enough cultivators where it's like even sometimes untrimmed stuff that like, you know, wouldn't look very great. You know, you have to process it a bit. Still smokes great. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like when you have stuff at your, I'm sure everyone here who home grows relates. Like, you know, sometimes you get like your own fruits and veggies and, you know, they might not look like store quality, but they still are fine.
Some of the flowers that have the terpene profiles that I like the most have bud structures, flower structure that's not really appealing for like, you know, a market condition. Really airy, like they don't get dense or they don't produce a lot, but they're pretty usually resinous and they have a really strong aroma.
Yeah, I guess
I hear you. I like some of those buds too. And this gets back to our earlier conversation about like, if we want to be able to market products like that for what they really are, that just requires a lot of consumer education. I mean, you have to be able to know enough to know, look at that sort of like wispy plant or whatever and know that there's actually something really desirable about it.
Yeah, that might be a bit of a counter, kind of like how there's like tons of cultivars of apples, right? But like most of the ones people interact with is just a small selection. And there's even some really rare ones that might only have like a few populations that exist anymore. And they might have really unique flavors and qualities, but they're, for whatever reason, you know, they're just not marketable.
Well, the reason there for most fruits is their transportability. There's so many apple varieties and plantain or banana varieties that are like so much better than the ones that we get at the store, but they just won't make it to the store.
Exactly.
And you have to get them from your local farmers market or whatever. That makes the market size much smaller. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll never forget the first.
So many good mangoes and Lunas, you know, sweet sop, sour sop. They don't transport well.
Oh, I'm going to start growing mangoes. I'm so excited about starting to grow mangoes. I'm going to grow mangoes and passion fruit. Putting them in soon. Yeah, we live in like sort of the little climatic oasis that you can grow those kinds of tropical fruits. And there's very few areas in continental United States, but this is one of them. And I'm going to take advantage of that.
Make a nice tropical smoothie that way. I'm a big fan of passion fruit myself. And speaking of banana cultivars, I remember having from the California Rare Fruit Growers Association, they which I recommend if you have a Rare Fruit Growers Association in the US and you're interested, you should definitely become a part of one, a chapter in your area, because you often get cultivars and cuttings and things that are a steal. And I got this ice cream banana and it was just, it was so good. It really did taste like vanilla ice cream. I was shocked.
Is that a Hawaiian cultivar? They have one in
I don't
Hawaii.
know.
That really tastes like, I mean, it tastes like you're eating ice cream. Very perishable. They really can't be, you can't ripen them remotely and you can't ship them when they're ripe.
Yeah. And actually the yellow dragon fruit that I got from that group is currently growing quite a bit with all the rain lately. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. And I was thinking I had to wait until spring to start doing it, but I'm like, screw it. Like, that's the whole point of this climate zone, is it never gets below freezing. So should be able to start going shortly here. So I'm kind of motivated to put in my, probably the maracuya, the passion fruit will be first in. That's a vine plant and I got a place to put it. So I'm ready to go.
So does Jack normally have us do outros at the 10-minute mark or more like the 5-minute mark? I forget.
I'm about ready to go because I got some other stuff I got to take care of. So.
Yeah, we can let Brandon out the door. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't think, Matthew. We've done a yeoman's job here, and you've done a. Thank you for stepping in, being host.
Thank you.
You know, the audience should be just happy that we were able to get a show together without our normal host at all. So it's all
that
bonus.
makes sense. That is true. That is true. You better appreciate it. No. So yeah, Brandon, have the outro. It was nice having you on. I always appreciate your perspective.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm always happy to be here. It's good to see and talk to you too, Steve. I know you only hop in every once in a while, but always good to talk to the rest of the panel members too. And yeah, anybody listening, my website is up, bokashiearthworks.com. And you can just check me out on Instagram too. So I'll see you guys all next week.
I see you then.
Grow love, Brandon.
Later, man.
Peace out, Brandon.
I just got a quick question I can address in the chat. Somebody was asking if I could explain the New Year's Grow Challenge groups a bit, which I'm happy to do, and remind everybody that this starts in 6 days and we're dropping seeds and everybody is encouraged to grow together. It's free to join. There's no catches, but there are awesome prizes. We're doing our groups based on media type, and we've never done this before. We want to make sure that it doesn't sort of become, like a battle between the different medias, but we want to show that, everybody's welcome at Coco for Cannabis, first of all, regardless of media. And I think it'll be really interesting to see how the different groups do things differently and how their plants grow differently when they're sorted that way. But we're going to try to keep it really friendly and collaborative as we always do. Our groups are, there's a group just for cocoa. There's a group for water if you're in DWC or any other kind of hydroponic method. And then there's groups for soil and peat. And we have been getting some questions about soil versus peat. And this is because a lot of people that grow in peat call their media soil. And a lot of companies that sell peat call it soil or label it as some kind of soil. So peat is, organic matter that is harvested, it's mined, and it's the basic substrate for most of what we in horticulture call soil. Soil properly is dirt. It's stuff that is on the ground. It's made up of sand, silt, and clay. And some growers grow in soil-based media, but that sand, silt, and clay would be the primary ingredients in that. It would not be peat as the primary ingredient. So these are some of the fun things that we'll learn in this year's NYGC as we sort of understand more about the different media and about things that are different with different media. A lot of people that are growing in peat think it's soil. They don't realize that they're growing in a soil-less media and sort of other things that are potentially available to them in that media. So that's it. I hope everybody joins us. We're doing a big giveaway in a couple of weeks in. We got 3 big Photon Tech fixtures that everybody that's in the New Year's Grow Challenge is going to be eligible to win. So sign up, cocoforcannabis.com/challenge.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always good to get that aspect because people hear a lot about the forums and about the different projects or that they exist, but it's nice to get a little bit extra detail. So I really appreciate that, even for my own edification.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you facilitating that. I do agree that there's a little bit of dogma there, and I have my own biases about what I think ideally maybe things should be like, but I also have, I don't think that makes me better than others or anything like that.
Yeah,
grow with what you
it's
got.
really fun to see the variety in life, and to see people doing different things. And that's really what this is all about. You learn so much about your own grow and the way you're growing, no matter what, no matter how you're growing, when you're growing alongside of a few hundred other people that are all growing at the same time. We're going to have several hundred people growing with us in this year's New Year's Grow Challenge. So it's just a lot of fun. You see how your plants stack up, you see what you're doing really well. And you learn a bunch of new tips and tricks from people, regardless of media that they're growing in.
With that, I think we do have about that time. We should probably start with our outros. Does anyone have anything they want to say before then? All right. Well, Dr. MJ, do you want to? Oh, I saw you unmute, Steve.
I was going to say, we don't have drug problems. We have drug solutions.
If you don't make cannabinoids, store-bought is fine too. Or homegrown. And now that's a symbiology question, or symbiology question, or a conversation to have later. So, Dr. MJ, you want to outro?
Sure. Grower love, everyone. Merry Christmas. I hope everybody has a happy new year, whether you're going to grow with us in the New Year's Grow Challenge or not. We do all sort of gather in the Coco for Cannabis chat room at midnight Eastern time on New Year's Eve to drop seeds for the New Year's Grow Challenge if you're interested in doing that, but you can start them at any time after that. Learn more about all this at cocoforcannabis.com, cocoforcannabis.com/challenge. Check out my YouTube page at Dr. MJ Coco. I'm doing a video right now. I'm comparing the 9 5x5 grow lights for 5x5 coverage. I've tested 9 of them in the last year. So I'm doing a comparison of those for components, build quality, performance, and cost. It should be interesting. I think that's going to be out before New Year's. And I look forward to seeing everybody next week. Grower love.
Take it easy, man.
Yeah, growers love. And second, how about you, Noah? I really enjoyed what you were talking about earlier. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. And yeah, totally. And I was just going to clarify. Yeah, anybody can grow any way they want, and anybody can buy anything they want, and obviously that's obvious, but, I'm a little biased. I try and do things the best that I can, and that's why I'm here. I love being around all you guys that are, at what I've always said, a ninja level. And I love picking up little tips and tricks, and I'm glad that I was brought here. And yeah, I'm Noah the Grow on Instagram with 2 E's. You can find me there anytime, and I'm always here. And see you guys all next week.
You're an important part of the cannabis ecosystem as far as I'm concerned. Everyone here on this panel. So, Tao, how are you?
Oh, God. I'm doing good. Yeah, sorry I wasn't more talkative today. It always depends on how the high hits me, whether I'm don't shut up or I just sit back and listen. And it was good listening tonight, mostly. And I agree with Spartan on the, cannabis affects everybody so differently that this one kid I knew, the shit would knock me the fuck out. He would smoke it and he'd be like ready to run a marathon. So I always remember that. And you got to remember that, how it hits everybody different. And yeah, it's always good to hang out with everyone on the panel. Thanks for taking over the reins, Matthew Gates. And thanks for hanging out, Poland Panics. And Doc and Noah, it's always good to see you. And everyone in chat, I'm glad I was there for a minute. I've been multitasking and watering and stuff. So, but yeah, always good to be here. Peace out, everyone. Have a great, and I hope everyone had a great Christmas. If we don't see it, 2022 is going to be the year for you. Let's get it.
Absolutely.
That sounds nice. No, I definitely get it. And I totally agree with that. That variety is interesting. So who do we have left? Just me? Oh no, Steve.
You guys can find me at the Growing with Fishes podcast on your favorite podcast app. You can also find me over at APMJ class and apmjnewts.com if you want education or aquaponic fish safe nutrients. And I'm also over on Fumidor and the Flavors. And if you want to come hang out, like I said, I'll be over hanging out with Brennan Rust and Jordan River from the Growcast. We'll be doing a kind of a cool live event in Oklahoma City on the 21st. Again, we'll have some more details on that in the next couple of weeks. So come hang out.
I like that. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of your virtual aquaponics conference videos that are coming out on your channel for those who missed it. I spoke at it, and there were many, many, many people who gave brilliant presentations. So you check them out there at Potaponics on YouTube. And I guess that makes me the last one. I am Matthew Gates. I'm an IPM specialist. And if you're interested in pest-related information or plant health generally, you can find my content in one of 3 places. I do have a Patreon. You can also find me at zenthanol.com for professional inquiries. For consulting, you can also find me at my YouTube channel, Zenthanol, where I make a lot of my video content, and also on my Instagram, personal Instagram, at SyncAngel.
Awesome. Thank you for being the host this week, Matthew.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Grower love, everyone.